Mr. Chief Justice, and may it please the Court, my name is Alma Whalen, and I am counsel for the respondent, the University of Awareness, and the School Board of Education. In this case, we are dealing with a demonstration put on by a group of high school and university students during a school-sponsored event that disrupted the course of activities and undermined the mission of the event and the schools. The participating students were then disciplined by their respective schools in accordance with the Code of Conduct. The students, in response to disciplinary action, are challenging the rulings of the lower court for several reasons, including their belief that their First Amendment right to free speech was infringed upon, that the sanctioning of the speech was content-based, that there was no material disruption, and in the case of the university students, that they have more freedoms allowed to them in a college setting because college is different from high school. The university and the school board have an interest in determining the type of speech that is allowed at school-sponsored events and the manner in which it occurs. If the speech deviates from the mission of the school or the university, they are within their right to put an end to the speech and take disciplinary action in accordance with the school code of conduct. By allowing disruptive speech to occur without action on part of the university or school board, the schools may be associating themselves with the message being projected, which it is not required to do. As this court held in Hazelwood School District v. Kohlmeyer, educators are entitled to exercise greater control over this form of student expression to assure that participants learn whatever lessons the activity is designed to teach, and that the views of the individual speaker are not erroneously attributed to the school. While the issue in Hazelwood dealt with printing in a student newspaper, and the case at issue here deals with a symbolic form of expression, they both occurred during school-sponsored activities, which the schools are responsible for regulating and overseeing. The high school students were visiting the university to get a better understanding of the college experience. Because the students were under the supervision of school board and university staff, this was a school-sponsored activity, and the message that the schools were attempting to convey was undermined by the students that led to the students becoming visibly discomforted. This case clearly demonstrates that the students who organized the protest aimed to disrupt the scheduled activities in order to call attention to an issue. Pepper Sunset High School had recently received state and national media attention in relation to an incident involving both sides of the procreation debate. The protest, planned by students of the high school and the university, wanted to use this recent media attention that the high school and the issue had received by conducting the protest while students from that high school were present. By instructing the students to remove the box covering the stabbed and seemingly bloody babies all at once, then standing together to display a sign showing the name of their organization, the students demonstrated their goal to call as much attention to their protest as possible. This case differs from that of Tinker v. Des Moines because of the disruption caused by the protest. In Tinker, the students wore a black armband as a form of symbolic protest. In the opinion of the court, Justice Fortas found that school officials could not punish petitioners for a silent, passive expression of an opinion, unaccompanied by a disorder or disturbance on part of the petitioners. In Tinker, the court also determined that the case did not concern speech or action that intrudes upon the work of the schools or the rights of other students. Not only did the students in the present case cause the disruption of school activities by their protest, they also caused discomfort in other students. Some of the students began to cry while other students jumped away from the table. Instead of visiting the university to get an understanding of what college life would be like, they received an unsuspected and upsetting exposure to a protest that had not been prearranged with the university or the high school. If the demonstration had been organized in another area of the campus where other students could avoid the demonstration and not organized as part of a school-sponsored activity or field trip, the protest would not have been shut down and the students would not have been disciplined. The petitioners believe that the sanctioning of the speech by the university and the school board is based on the content of the speech. They claim that speech, comfortable or not, is protected. While this would certainly be the case outside of school or school-sponsored activities, in Morse v. Frederick, the court ruled that while students do not share their constitutional rights while in school, per Tinker, the rights of free speech of students in school are not as extensive as those that would normally be afforded to adults. In Bethel School District v. Fraser, which dealt with a student giving an inappropriate speech during the school assembly, Justice Brennan said in his concurring opinion that the speech may well have been protected had he given it in school but under different circumstances. where the school's legitimate interest in teaching and maintaining civil public discourse were less weighty. Thus, in order to achieve the mission of the schools, which includes providing a safe learning environment for students, educators and school officials have more latitude in restricting the actions of these students. The sanctioning of speech by the school board and the university did not occur because of the message that they were trying to convey, but because of the manner in which it was done. All student groups and organizations had the opportunity to take part in the event, and all students were made aware that they were participating in a joint school-sponsored event. The power of the school board and the university in sanctioning speech does have its limits, but in this case, the reason for shutting down the demonstration and taking disciplinary action was in order to ensure that the activities taking place were being done in a way that complied with the school board and university's code of conduct. Even if the sanctioning were based on content, the university and the school board do not have an obligation to associate themselves with speech that is inconsistent with their mission. The petitioners that attend the university believe that there are more rights and liberties afforded to them, even while in school and during institutional activities, based on the fact that they are college students. While college students generally do enjoy more freedoms, there is also generally more responsibility and more maturity in this group of students. In attempting to display their point of view on the issue, the group put the visiting high school students in a situation where they were a captive audience, placed in an uncomfortable situation which led to staff intervention. While the method in which they chose to convey their message may have been suitable for adults attending the university, the demonstration could well be seriously damaging to its less mature audience, as held for the court by Chief Justice Berger in Bethel School District. Some of the younger students were visibly shaken by the demonstration, and others, who may not have understood the message, may have had to find out about this topic in a manner that was inappropriate and possibly frightening. The students of both schools were aware of their respective student conduct, and the high school students had signed an agreement to follow the code of conduct. Both codes of conduct make the students aware of the consequences of breaking this code. Neither the university nor the school board shut down the demonstration because of the content, but because of the way in which the demonstration was conducted. If the students had been simply explaining the issue, or if they had conducted their demonstration in an area that could have been easily avoided by other students, their actions would not have been sanctioned. All groups were allowed to participate in the event and were made aware that this would be a school-sponsored event. The group wanted to create a distraction in order to take advantage of the media attention that the high school had recently received regarding the appropriation debate. Their intention was to call attention to themselves, and in doing so, disrupted and undermined the purpose of the event and scheduled activities. The goal of the schools, in order to be met, ultimately required staff intervention of the demonstration. The high school and the university are not required to promote speech that is outside of their mission. If disruptive speech does not fall within the goals of the institutions, they may sanction the speech so that it can't be associated with the view of the individual students. The university students bear more responsibility to their less mature and younger counterparts, which is why their discipline is heavier than the one of the high school students. University life is different from high school, but the demonstration, in upsetting students and disrupting the school-sponsored activities, was not the appropriate venue to conduct this type of protest. The schools, in following their respective codes of conduct, were correct to shut down the demonstration and take disciplinary action against the students involved in the disruption of the school-sponsored activities. We ask that you affirm the rulings of the lower court and find in favor of the respondents. Thank you for your time.